looking ahead for the next 5 years, what do you think we're going to see in like hosting? What's the next 5 years look like?
Right. Of course, it's not so easy to predict the future, and
Yeah.
and hosting has been a kind of a business that stayed almost the same for a very long time. I think one of the developments that we see is that more and more good hosting companies transform from a generalist to be a specialist. You know,
Mm,
that they finally start to learn from their data, or they get data to find out that the majority of their customers is actually lawyers
right.
and need to do a lawyer specific offering. Just an example. Finally, do marketing based on this. I think that will also be a big thing, and learn the modern business framework to rethink your business, especially if you have an engineering background, and also use and apply AI to your business. There's no excuses anymore. I think there will be probably much more successful businesses coming out of this just because AI is there. I would say AI is going to be a disruptor, but specifically for hosting, maybe not as fast, as deep we think. We first of all already use a lot of AI, especially for example in cPanel or in Ples, there is already today a lot of algorithms and automations happening in
Sure.
the background to keep the infrastructure performant, to keep it up
Hmm.
to date, to do security. I would say WordPress is here to stay. It's
Yeah.
43% of the market, and the most people don't understand why WordPress is so big, you know? And I can tell you, I think I know why WordPress is so big, and why not everyone wants to use Wix and Squarespace and Shopify. When
Yeah.
you have your website on Wix and Squarespace and Shopify, and they don't like something, even something small, they may just switch off your thing. And that means your business is offline. And if you use WordPress, it's open source. It has more than 60,000 plugins as an ecosystem.
Right.
It has also WooCommerce, what is a complementary e-commerce engine. Maybe it's a bit more difficult, but it is also more than 40% of the e-commerce market. That's, people don't realize this. So
Wow.
WordPress, from my perspective, is here to stay, but it will get better. It will get easier to use, and it will get influenced by AI. And so will the software as a service players like Wix and Squarespace
Hmm.
and all these kind of companies, Shopify. I think in the beginning they won through user experience. Now they're trying to compete with Wix Studio and Shopify Plus. Like, they want to go after the players that want more flexibility. But that
Right.
also means it's going more complicated to use. Then it's not then this argument is not there anymore for simplicity. And I would say what the hosting companies will hopefully do, and I think the bigger ones do that already, is to adjust to the younger generation. You know, I was also a sysadmin 26 years ago, 27 years ago, and I think a lot of hosting companies are still kind of sysadmins and position themselves towards sysadmins. I think that's something where we need to get ready for the younger generation to come, because the SaaS players already do that.
Right.
I would say that hyperscale cloud has also an interesting take there. I would say, you know, when you are a hoster that has, you're probably just data centers in one country and want to go global, you can
Right.
actually partner with hyperscale cloud and use all their other data centers for going global. That's the clever service providers already do. That you keep the control over the data I mentioned before. That will be an
Right.
important topic, never ever done before, because there was GDPR in Europe. There is different kind of GDPR, similar privacy laws in the United States. India has its own version, Brazil has its own version, and many other countries as well. That potentially gives hosting an opportunity again, also, that in country, or being a local company in the country, is more important again. And
Right.
probably the wars and the reduction in globalization that we have in today's time might also contribute to this trend that you will have actually more regional operations again, what would help the hosting providers again. And other than that, I think there is kind of an early sign of some hosting companies being just marketing players, because Bluehost, for example, that is part of Newfold, has now first time launched its own premium WordPress offering that is based on infrastructure from Automatic, like the company behind
Wow.
WordPress,
Literally just
like
a
on
wrapper.
WP.cloud. And
Wow.
WP.cloud is a highly scalable WordPress as a service API first infrastructure platform for WordPress. So there can be such kind of trends as well, that there's kind of a hosting as a service going
Right.
on. And maybe last but not least, what I recommend the most hosting providers and what the more successful ones are already doing is, when you look at the cloud, infrastructure as a service, software in platform as a service, and software as a service, decide on which of these layers you're gonna play, because you cannot play on all the layers and become best within that competitive environment on the layer that you choose, or maybe you are best at already. You know, it's a very unknown fact. You mentioned you had a lot of data. We have also a lot of crawling data that we do every quarter about the hosting industry and what is changing. A lot of small and mid-sized hosting companies are surprisingly using infrastructure from companies like Hetzner
Right.
or from OVH, especially in the emerging markets. And I think, talking about the emerging markets, I think there is still a way to go, especially in emerging markets. There's still so many SMBs not even having a website today.
Yeah.
And you can argue, well, it's a mobile society, blah, blah, blah. But if you want to do real business, at some point you will need a computer, and don't do everything on your mobile. And then you need a website and build your applications and stuff. So I think these are different topics, I would say, that at least influence the future of hosting.